Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's second live stream for SAP Community Calls. It's me again. I'm Svea Becker from the SAP Community team, and we talk about fundamental library today and about how to create harmonized user experience. And here with me is Denno. Denno is the lead of fundamental library at SAP. And before you're going to start, Denno, let me briefly remind the audience that they can ask the questions already throughout the call in the chat here, and I will be here to monitor. And once you have finished your presentation, Denno, we are going to have a little conversation about the questions in the chat. So thanks everyone for joining. Thanks to Denno for being here, and the stage is yours. I hand over to you.
Hi, Svea. And thank you. Hi, everyone. So today we'll be talking about the user experience, how to harmonize it. But before we start this, let me start with a disclaimer. So I'll be keeping it for a few seconds. If you're interested more, the presentation will be uploaded later on, or you can rewatch the video later, and you can read all the details and the links in case you're interested. So initially, when I planned to present the library, my idea was to go in details, present, what is the library about, how it started, why we created it, what is the latest there, like which features, which components, what are the libraries created for, like the usual long pitch, which is fine. But then later, I said, well, maybe I should change it. Instead of talking about all the features, we can focus on something concrete that can help the community. And again, help the community to create harmonized experience, right? So I said, then let's pick two technical scenarios where I can walk you through and make you understand, why you can use fundamental library and the varieties of libraries in these scenarios. That's it, nothing more. It's not going to be, so I will try to avoid creating general statements valid for everything. It's just, I'll be focusing on these two simple scenarios. If you find that you're doing something similar, I hope I'll be helping you to speed up this activity on your own, or at least trigger discussions with you and the community. Before jumping into the scenarios, I just want to spend very few minutes, talking about the core values and the goals of fundamental library. So very first, as you see, the title of the presentation and the talk today, it's a harmonized user experience. So basically, this was the very first objective and goal of our library. Help the applications and teams that we are working with to create harmonized experience. Create harmonized experience while they still keep using what they're using as a front-end stack. And we have varieties of options to help this, but more, we can look into the scenarios. Another important thing is we really value open source. Open source is also consuming on one side, but also creating and contributing to. At the end of the day, that's the two parts of the open source. It's there for you to use, but also you kind of have the moral obligation to help and improve it, right? It goes hand in hand. And because of that, we can see successful libraries out there where the community, it's really pushing, driving, and then even reshaping the libraries and the open source world. Another aspect that now gets very much traction, federated. So as I said, we have a couple of libraries that help you create the harmonized experience, but they're driven in a federated way. Federated way, they have their own pace of development. Why is it that? Our core team is really small. We work with stakeholders, and the stakeholders are also contributing. So basically, the stakeholders can contribute into direction or in components where they need the most, right? So for some libraries, we are also drivers, but for other libraries, the community and the stakeholders are the main drivers. I mean, there's certain qualities that they have to be fulfilled, but this is an example how the libraries can be successfully driven by multiple groups and teams. Initially, when we started as a small and new library, we focused on the most common, or the goal was to create or help teams use the most common components, patterns, or layouts. I mean, we are still there, but now we have around 120, 140, 150 components in fundamental styles, for example. But still, we are still focusing on the core part of the design, the components. And as I said a little bit in the beginning, we love front end. We love front end, and we try to be less opinionated in a domain where everybody has opinion and everybody can say this is the right way or this is the right way. We're trying to do step back and basically help the teams with their choice. So let's say if you picked Angular as a framework of use for your applications, we're trying to help those teams continue using Angular, but at the same time deliver this harmonized experience, right? So we're not trying to force anything. We're just there to help if we can. And then, as you see on the bottom of the presentation, so the libraries are focusing on the HTML, CSS. It's one library, fundamental library styles, which is only focusing on the presentation layer. There is no opinion which framework you can use. You can use it in any technology, any front-end library, even web components, right? And then because Angular, React, and Vue are the most common frameworks there and the most used ones, we're trying to help also developers using those libraries or frameworks. And last but not least, it's when we work for companies like SAP or other big companies, the enterprise quality is also very important. And theming, it's one of them, but this is not the only one. And again, we're trying to be less opinionated, as I said, but still help the team. So if you pick Angular, it's one of the most used open source frameworks for building front end. It brings a lot of enterprise features and qualities that you can use them, because of the Angular team is strong, but also the community is helping to define the directions there. But more about this we can see during the scenarios. Again, the scenarios might not be complete, and which is a good thing. This is a starting journey with you guys, with this community call. I want to start now, and then we'll continue in the future. More information about this we're going to see later on during the presentation. So as I said, I want to focus on two scenarios to define them, if we can define with some constraints, and try to walk you through how you can focus on the harmonization while you're using what you're using. And then let's take this example. So let's imagine that our company acquired another company. This happens often for many companies, right? And the acquisition happens most probably because the other company has solutions and applications and products that are really successful, right? They're already delivered. There are a lot of customers using it, loving it, right? So in most of the cases, the company doesn't want to, just replatform everything. But at the same time, it wants to put it into the portfolio under the company, right? So why not? When we go to customers, we want to add the additional solutions that are part of our family now, and then offer them together. So the leadership team can say, let's keep the successful momentum, right? That the application has, without replatforming it, right? Let's have a minimal investment on this successful application. Let's see whether we can have fast results, something that we can see right away. And at the same time, the blueprint that you add to the existing application is very minimal, right? So not much investment, not replatforming, something small and simple, but at the same time to bring it under the company family, right? So this is the first scenario that I would like to talk. So when I was preparing, I was thinking, which application should I bring? And many ideas came to my mind. But then during one of the tasks that I was doing with my team, it struck me that the website that I'm using the most, it could be just a showcase. It doesn't mean this is a productive and it will be done, but just as an exercise to see, is it possible that we can do it? And then guess which website I'm using the most? It's GitHub. I mean, we are working on open source libraries. They reside in GitHub, and our daily tasks always go through the source code, right? So I will go to the browser. So if we go in GitHub, as you see, this is the most common website that I have. Then this is my profile. Then one of the repositories I'm using is Fundamental for Angular, right? So I said, let's see, is it possible to make this page, just, because we don't have much time, whether we can make this look more, SAP design. So for the simplicity, I created a local copy of this website just to make it easier for us to play with, right? So if you see, there is few differences. The differences are around the pull requests. Most probably you're going to see difference in the commits, some changes, but it looks the same. So this is stored in my local hard drive. So we're going to try quickly, like in the next couple of minutes, to make some very simple changes and at the same time seeing some results. But before doing this, I will show you what we will be using for that purpose. So we will be using fundamental library styles. As I said, this is a presentation layer library, which allows you to apply it to any web application with any web technology. So as you can see, there are a lot of components. I'm not going to go over all of them. The one that always we talk about it, for example, it's a button, right? So if we look in the code, this looks, SAP design, right? And the code itself contains a simple semantic HTML button. The addition that we add, we add a CSS class. That's it. With the CSS class, the beauty is that it can bring you all the look qualities from the SAP design, right? So in this case, you see default standard button, icon button, and then this is the emphasize or primary button, right? We can apply theming to that. So if I click to the Quartz Dark, which is the Fiori 3 dark theme, you will see the buttons turn to the dark theme. So one of the qualities is already here. We can also show it on the right to left mode for people using languages that are writing from right to left, right? So I can switch to high contrast black, right? So all this is possible through a small NPM package, again delivered from SAP theming-based content. It delivers a set of CSS variables mapping with their values for each theme, which allows on the fly to change the theme without recompilation. So the standard themes are already delivered. If you want to create your custom theme, you can use the UI theme designer. Similar, like for the UI5 web components, it works exactly the same. I mean, the design is the same. The theme designer integration is the same. So you can create a new theme, and then you can import it, and then you will see the components already with your custom theme. So custom, the theme is already delivered, right? Few more, I just took notes which components we'll be using, not the only ones. So button, as I said, I will switch to the normal Fiori 3, as I'm kind of used to that. And you can see we have the semantic buttons. We have buttons with badges. We have menu buttons, split buttons. The other thing is, let's say we go to the link, right? The link doesn't look that different, it shouldn't be. Again, it's an anchor tag, native HTML tag. The difference is that you get a class, and this class brings you basically the look. Let's look one more component, avatar, right? Avatar, it's also quite used component. There, if you see the code, it has a simple span, again, an HTML element with a few classes. So in this case, you see not only one, but two. So the first one basically brings you the foundation for the component, and then the other ones are modified. So in this particular case, the modifiers make sure to bring different size of the avatar. Then this is with an icon inside, but instead of avatar, instead of an icon, you can have for example, initials, right? So in the initials, it's even simpler HTML, simple span with a text wrapped inside. Then you can, of course, include profile images or any other images, and then there are varieties of options to style them. And again, this is all through varieties of parallel modifiers. So one is for the size, the other one is for the shape, and then whether it's a thumbnail or background, etc. So hundreds of components, 120, 140, I think, available. Another quality of this is that each component is self-contained. Self-contained means you don't need to import the whole library. First, you can just cherry pick, let's say I want to take the button, and that this is the only one I import. And the other aspect of the self-contained is that there is no bleeding in or out. So if I use FD button, I will be styling only the FD button. I won't be styling any other button. And also the other way around. If you style a button with the fundamental class, then this won't break your button as well. This makes it actually very handy when we have the iterative development. You don't bring everything. You can, let's say, I want to style only buttons. I will bring the button. It won't bleed to any other components, so you're safe. Then let's say you move to, for example, avatars or a single place of avatar. This is what you're going to see, right? This is also available through NPM. You can take this package, and the package brings a list of CSS files. Either you can import the whole library if you want, for easier and fast validation. And then later on for performance, you can cherry pick the components that you've been using. But yeah, you just import the library, it brings you the CSS file. So they don't depend on any other library or framework because it's CSS. So there is no other dependency. You can just bring again the theming-based content, which also doesn't have any other dependency. It brings one CSS file with the CSS variables, right? Okay, so let's take the example of the local page, which I already have here. This is a download file. It's a huge one. This is not the way it's been developed, but for the simplicity, this is what it is. You see, it's the original one. I keep the original, and I'll show you after how things will look like, right? So this is the page. If I reload it, it looks fine. The only thing that I did, I imported two files, but they don't have any effect yet on the page. This is just for, speed up my work instead of typing it for you. I can just comment it, right? Save, and then refresh, nothing changes. So this, what is this? This brings the dark CSS variables, right? Dark theme CSS variables and fundamental styles compiled for the dark theme. So what does it mean? So if I go and look, let's take the example of simple, let's use this one. Let's see if I inspect, I just want to find it in the DOM. This is a summary. I'll put my glasses because, it will require me some to read. So let's find this guy in the browser. In the source. So here, as we see, this is a summary. It's a button, right? So there is a button, primary button. Doesn't matter what we can do. We can do FD button, right? Just save it. Go back to the browser. I'll hit refresh. As you see, it looked like right away as a Fiori button. But maybe we don't want that standard button. Maybe we want, let's say, semantic green button, right? So we can see here the positive one. We can just take the class FD positive, right? Go in the code, and add this additional. So if I come and then refresh, it made the button positive. So you may ask, what about these classes? They don't affect what we styled. So if I remove, nothing would change. Nothing would change because when we create the components, they're self-contained. We make sure that every property of this component, it's defined by us. So other components wouldn't be. What we can do as well, and I already prepared, is we can define, for example, if I go in the very beginning on top, bring let's say the standard background from the theming. So I will insert here and I will show you just to make it simple. So I have to include style tag. In the style, I will put this. What is this? So it brings, the first thing is it's using the SAP font 72. So if you inspect here, you're gonna see that the font family, most probably it's not 72. 72, it's the SAP font. It's always, you see, this is a different one. So if I bring this, and then I can define the default font size, I can define the color, I can define the background, and another thing, just to speed up a little bit more, I can define the color for all the links. So I save here, and if I refresh, just pay attention that for like a fraction of a second, how the font will change. You see, it's a little bit different. So if we inspect now the text itself, in most of the cases, if it's not specifically overwritten, it's already pointing to font 72, right? I can do, let's say, let's take this example. I prepared more cases, or maybe even something more fancy. Let's use here avatar, right? So here, what you see, it's a link, and how can I find it? Let's just look for this, this string. So I'm gonna look here. This is it. So what I will do, I will add here a class FD avatar, save it. Then the first one, it will turn to our avatar. So as we see, if we see here, it's the avatar. What we can do quickly is, maybe I don't like it, but again, this is just a quick proof. I can make it, for example, medium size. So I'll go here quickly. I will add this, refresh the page. It will look bigger, right? So yeah, right? Anyway, I'm not going to stay longer here, but I already prepared another. So if we look into the, let me show the original before without changes, and then already a compiled one. Again, I spent like one hour. As you see, many things changed, right? And the beauty of this is if I go to this one and change it, instead of the dark theme, I can use the light. This is just the CSS variables. I save it, I hit refresh, and then boom, it brings the light theory, right? That easy. And as you see, most of the stuff are already looking good, and there are like not more than 10, 15 places that I changed the classes, right? So we can, if we go back to what we discussed, we are not changing any functionality, any interaction. We are not replatforming the application. We are not changing the frameworks. With a very few touches, cosmetic, you can see a fast result. So this is actually the very first scenario that I wanted to show. There are many things to be discussed, but I hope you get the point. So the second scenario, which is a little bit more, it goes to the more, on the level of front-end where you need to know more frameworks, is let's say we have an application that we pick a modern framework. Modern framework like Angular. I'll be using Angular. There are applications within the company or outside or anywhere that are, teams pick Angular. Why would they pick Angular? First, Angular brings a lot of enterprise features. The pace of innovation there, it's really good. They release twice a year major release with many optimizations, many improvements, many features, many performance improvements. Also, it's loved by millions of people. So also this million of people, they're contributing to the framework. Also, another part is that we want to create a micro frontend application. What does it mean, micro frontend? It actually allows you to split the front end, but not only, into a smaller decoupled features and code base. It enables many teams to collaborate easier on a large application, while each team and each developer contributes these features, creates the features and the solutions independently. It also allows, in many cases, superior development experience. So it allows the different teams to work simultaneously, and they have much more freedom of picking their frameworks. But I'm not going to talk more about this. This is if you're interested. And if you don't know, I advise you to check Project Luigi. We work with this team. It's another successful open source library that SAP is funding. And if you're interested, you can take a look. But for the sake of this scenario, we will create an application that will be later on integrated into a much bigger one. Maybe in the next community calls for fundamental library, we can dig deeper into that direction. But for now, we'll focus only on our specific application. And then, we bring the theming and all the other enterprise features. So what I created already for you, let me quickly show you. I have it locally running, so I will close. No, I'm not going to close anything. I will open it locally. So simple application. Again, it's a fake data. There is nothing really existing. There is no backend. Just to make it really simple, what I'll be doing is here you see you have a shell bar. You have, let's say, products. I mean, the data is not really meaningful, but you get the point. Let's say I'm in the development phase, right? I need to link it with backend, but I want to still test, the features and are they harmonized? So let's say these are products. The user can add this to their shopping cart. So basically, one application could be this landing page with a grid of products. right? In another one, somebody is going to create a checkout, right? So we are working independently. I can focus on that. My colleague can be doing the checkout. So if we go in the checkout, what you're going to see here in the checkout, the products that already were picked. This is in a wizard. I'll come to this a little bit later. There are steps, so I can go to the next. Here it will, so I can decide to skip it. But there are some steps that are required, right? So then I can write my name. Let's say just Montreal. I want to have the shipping address to be equal. So as you see, if I change this, also the steps in the wizard can change, right? And then this we're going to see later. This feature in this component, it's quite handy. It's a one HTML tag, and then everything else depends on the data you're passing to the UI. So let's have it the same. I can go to the payment method. I can put, for example, bank transfer. Again, as you see, it changed. So if I go to credit card, it will ask me. So basically, it's branching into different direction. I can enter my credit card, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then, as usual, when you go to, let's say, 50%, this is the summary, right? This is like two applications. They are not really hooked into the micro frontend framework, but we'll come to that. So, do I have theming? Yes. So with fundamental library for Angular, we offer theming through different ways. One is you can change it through the URL parameter, but there are other options through a service internally. So if you want to deliver it with a specific theme, you're also allowed. So I will pass this parameter. And as you see, right after the reward, we see the change. So let's say I'm still connected with the other application that was developed, right? It's another application that will be integrated into the framework. So if I go in the checkout, as you see, the theming there is not applied, right? It's not applied because they are not integrated through the micro frontend framework. This can be simultaneously integrated. So once you set the theming in one place, it can cascade to the other. But just for the simplicity, I want to copy this and show you that also this would work there. So I add product, I go there, and then I can put the parameter, and it makes the theme darker, right? So what am I using for that? Few things. Let me show you now the website. The website with the documentation, similarly to what you saw before. We have buttons, right? And many other components inside. The button, again, it's a native HTML button. Again, the footprint is very minimal, right? But it brings you the Fiori qualities, right? And then all the components. So we have core components, we have platform components. Core components are basically basic building blocks that you can use. I mean, not basic, we have also table, wizard, but then you have all the flexibility to write your HTML or not, and then you have a lot of freedom. But then the freedom also comes with the price writing the code. We also offer the platform package, which is the other way around. The size of the code could be really small. And two examples recently we developed. It's the form generator where, as you see this form, the code itself as HTML, it's one tag, right? And here I pass the data. This data can come from the backend. Also, as you see, this is the data. It can have different validations. Anything that backend can offer can be hooked with the form generator. And then the form generator is used in the wizard generator. Wizard generator, it's a powerful big component. Again, if you look in the code, it's a one simple tag, right? Where you pass the data is the steps, and these steps, again, can have validation and everything like that. So this is basically what I've been using, and how this is implemented. I will try to speed up now. Is we have two applications. One is the product grid. As we saw, the product grid is the products, right? And this product grids, it is created as a web component. So when I talk a web component here, I mean an application wrapped as a web component to be used as a micro frontend, right? Like a complete business feature that will be placed into much bigger application, right? So it's created as a web component. What we can see, this is the HTML inside, right? Product grid that we saw. You can use the core components and write the HTML, right? The other web component is the checkout. So checkout that you saw with the wizards. Again, we create another web component which creates the wizard. And as you see, the HTML that we wrote, it's the FDP wizard generator. And then there we only pass the data. So basically you can wrap it as an Angular element and then pass the data from the backend, and it will render everything inside. So if I go and go to my store and inspect the DOM element, you will see that the show bar, the show bar, it's one web component, and then I think the product grid, it's another web component somewhere here. Yes, so we have with loads show bar, product grid, and if we go to the checkout, then you can see now the checkout, it's another web component. Yes, so show bar, right? And there are many features that we bring through fundamental library. One that we used already, I want to go to the core, was the theming, right? You can switch a theme either through a URL parameter. You can define even a custom name of the parameter and then pass the theme, right? We also have content density. You can decide to either configure it globally, or you can create your application with toggle between different content density. So all these kind of services are offered here. And this is my second scenario, right? This is where, if I go back, we use a modern front-end framework, Angular. We wanted to create it as a micro front-end to integrate it with much bigger application, but still keep developing it independently from the others. And then we can even maintain the versions of the libraries we are using. And then it has theming and other qualities. So that's the second scenario. What would be our next steps? Obviously, one of the next steps is to organize our next SAP community call, which will be, I think it's on March 15th. This is what we discussed with Svea. Her team is helping us. So hopefully on that call, you will see more developers from the team and showing you more scenarios. Another step important is SAP is taking a new journey with the new design, which is Fiori Horizon. And we are also trying to work and deliver those as part of fundamental. And I just quickly sneak peek, I want to show you in fundamental Angular, you can see in the experimental docs, it's another package where you can see these components. Again, this is experimental because the design is still being delivered. That's why you see a few components in fundamental Angular, but if you go in fundamental styles into the experimental section, you can see much more. And these components, they appear, regularly. In the next weeks, you're going to see a few more components come. So here you can see how the design looks. And again, if you look in the code as a markup, we are only changing the classes. With the classes, you can achieve this look. Then, yeah, obviously more components we'll be creating. The components that we are creating are based to what our stakeholders really need. So we work with stakeholders, they're contributing also to our library, but also we are working with them and our contribution is there. And then, yes, another part that basically makes us happier is having more stakeholders. Not because you have bigger number. It's because anytime when you get a new stakeholder, you learn a new thing. You see that they're building their solution differently, and you try to reflect how you can help them from the library you're working on to deliver this harmonized experience. And last but not least, so a few more links. One of the most important is we have our community page. There, it's a topic page, and also we have a tag. Feel free to visit it. Feel free even to write comments, even to write blogs, and we will review them with big pleasure. Our website, we have also, you can follow us in Twitter. You can see some of our recordings in YouTube. Recently, we published all the recordings from our last year very first conference. And then you can also join our Slack space where you can raise questions. You can answer even to the community as well. As I said in the beginning, open source is not only consuming, but also giving back to the community, right? And with that, this is the end of my presentation. And thank you so much for being patient and listen. I'll hand it over back to Svea.
Yes, hello again, and thank you very much for having been part of this SAP community calls. And yeah, you mentioned already we have big plans for this year on Fundamental Library. So the next call with your team is on March 15. And maybe you can give already a little outlook what we can expect there besides what you just mentioned.
I wish. I mean, we didn't decide, didn't finalize as you also witnessed. I changed my mind what I'll be presenting, but definitely what I think it's important is to show scenarios that are associated with our stakeholders, what really they are working on, and how we basically help them deliver this, right? So definitely they will be more on the Angular side with all the components that we're creating. We can work on that. We can show the theming part, how exactly it works. We can show how this composite components like the wizards and the forms and many others that are being created under the hood, and how this can be used. And actually engage with the community so they can ask more technical questions. This can help us, identifying gaps in the documentation, right? But at the same time, we want to also engage them there to contribute back to the libraries.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that sounds really interesting. And I think this is also a good opportunity, again, to mention here, as you said, throughout the calls, you can connect with Denno and his team via SAP Community. And Denno, what you didn't know is that I pasted already during your presentation some links in the chat, which are also available after the presentation is live here, so the recording. So you can directly dig into these links, and you will be guided to the community, to the topic page where you find much more information, and of course also to the tag. And we always recommend to follow the tag in SAP Community so that you get updated notification when there is updated information, as well as you can of course join the community and follow people. So you can follow Denno, and I have added also your profile link to the chat, Denno. And there were some conversations during your presentation. At the moment, more or less about this new process. It's our second live stream on YouTube. So it's still the concept of SAP community calls, that SAP expert or maybe also external experts share their knowledge with the community. But the one thing is different is now that we do not have a registration anymore. It's even easier for you to join our calls because you only have to set the reminder in our YouTube channel. And then you get the notification or you put it into your calendar so that you can join those live stream sessions.
Can I add something here,
Sure
which
thing.
I really appreciate. We talk about open source, and then Sphere is coming from the SAP community. We are really helping us, and as you see, there's always pushing forward the limits. Now we have the chance to talk to you through YouTube, right, live. So use these opportunities, guys. This is not only one way. Just I talk to you. It's creating a network, right? Sphere's team is basically really helping. Use this opportunity to engage with us, right? Actually, the reason of this call, it's feedback we got through Twitter, I think, right? They say, nothing is happening there. Actually, it's happening, but we kind of were silent, right? We didn't engage with the community. And then, Sphere's team, was really helpful to jump and then offer this support for this very first community call, and I hope this will continue in the next months as well. So again, let's have two ways of communication or many-to-many communication. I'm sure your feedback or your contribution can help us to shape it in a better way. And thank you, Svea, and your team for the help.
You're welcome. And it's so true. So we listen to you, and this is important. And if you have anything you want to get more knowledge for, more insights, let us know. You can always reach out to us. I mean, we are in the community. You can follow also me. I can add my profile link here as well. And so let us go to the questions then, Dano.
Yes.
So we have a question from, okay, this is a profile name. I don't know exactly if this is the correct name or how this user has the correct name here. Tom Takumi. Are the views components going to be continued or scraped? Is his question, or her. I cannot see it.
Yeah, I don't link it with the person that I know. Maybe I know, maybe I don't know, but doesn't matter, right? So again, as I said, fundamental library is an open source. There is no hundreds of, let's say, core developers working in each repository. We allow the community to help us shape each library. I know why they're asking this question. Fundamental view didn't have recently attention. Yes, we would love to spend also more time in fundamental view. Some of the developers in our team, they love Vue. And now this is, I know that this is the most loved front-end library or framework. The only thing is, there are many things coming for us, like, for example, Fiori Horizon. And we also we want to, speed up there to help the applications to deliver. It's not at the moment planned to be scrapped. We are thinking many things. There are one or two projects that most probably we will engage with them, and they will help us contribute. But to the person who raised the question, feel free, if you have some time even to contribute back, this will help us.
This is a call to action.
Yes,
I would say. Thank you very much, and I hope this helps you also, you as the question of the author of the question, what Danu mentioned to you. All right, then I would like to say hello from Jennifer Stamm to you. She also posted this in the chat, so hi for joining this live stream today. Yeah, and we are going to end soon. So if you have questions throughout that call here, that live stream, then please visit SAP Community, check out for Fundamental Library. There is a tag. You can follow that tag. You can ask your question there. You find the topic page. Everything is there. And we are really looking forward to meeting you there. And of course, we will also have this presentation Dano showed uploaded here to the YouTube channel. And Jennifer is asking a question now before we are going to end here. Is there a public roadmap or something like a Jira or Jira board available to track what's currently worked on and when it will be released, so that there is more transparent?
Yes and no, to be honest. But thank you for the question. Not because it's a great question. No, it's because this is something that we need to improve. But there is some roadmap in our GitHub repositories, at least in fundamental library styles and fundamental library Angular. If you go in the project folder, you're going to see a roadmap. We're trying to keep it posted per quarter to update what has been done, what's coming, what is yet missing there, but we are working on that, and I promise to update this and to correct. It's the Fiori Horizon, right? This is not yet there, but it will be added to the roadmap, and I will be maintaining those two roadmaps. For the React and Vue, again, our team doesn't have the bandwidth to stretch there. We can help the community with that, and we can drive the roadmap if they're willing to contribute. But yes, there is roadmap, and it's available in the GitHub in the project folder. If Jennifer has my contact, she can even send me a message in Slack, and somewhere I can point you to the right link. But I'm sure you will be able to find it in GitHub.
Thank you, Dano, for answering this question, and thanks, Jennifer, for asking it. And as you said, there's also a way to connect to each other in SAP community. So when you follow Dano and he follows you back, you can exchange direct messaging. It's like a messenger. It's really easy. So even you do not yet follow him, it's possible. And you can also follow me, of course, and I'm going to follow you back. And so you have always the possibility to exchange directly with other community members as well. All right, then I thank you again so much.
I'm missing one question. Usually this question comes all the time.
Okay, then go ahead. Maybe you want to ask that question on your own.
Well, I also watched one of the previous community calls, and it was last year with the colleagues from UI5 Web Components. And maybe the colleagues that you would ask this question, they're going to be listening to the recording. So in case you guys listen to the recording, and the question usually is like, what to use? Can I use web components, UI5 web components, or fundamental library? This is a question that comes all the time, and it's a reasonable question. And I try to indirectly answer. Maybe people got it from my presentation, but I want to iterate it one more time. We're working with the team from UI5 Web Components. We're actually one team, right? I mean, not literally one team, but we are very close to. We're discussing, the future, how this can basically reduce the redundancy. And I'm sure you're going to see the result. I mean, there are already results happening. If it's not visible, then definitely it's worth marketing that. But we are working together, and we are motivated to reduce the duplicated efforts we are doing in fundamental and in the web components. We support each other, and we will be supporting each other. So stay tuned. But my point today was that, let's say, if you're already, for example, scenario one, you have already your frameworks that you're using. We don't want you to disrupt it. We just want you to help you to do the harmonization only with the presentation. And the second one, it's the second scenario, you have Angular already, you're comfortable, you made a decision, and we want you to continue doing this way, again, helping you do the harmonization. If you're starting new application, then you have many options to consider, and you can even combine fundamental Angular and web components. Maybe very soon, similar to for the UI5 web components for React, you can see something similar in fundamental library for Angular. But let's keep this for the next community talks, maybe from fundamental, maybe from the web components team. Yeah. So stay tuned.
This is a great add-on. Thanks very much. And I hope one of the mentioned colleagues you just said, they will listen to that recording. Thanks very much for adding this one. And I would say presentation well done, live stream finished for today. Everyone have a good day ahead, and I hope to see you in one of the next calls, and stay tuned in YouTube live channel. Bye for now.
Bye-bye. Stay healthy and safe.
Yeah.